Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to give you my first impressions on the Defenders Eternals Mephisto update because I have a ton of really good things to say about the uniforms, about the new game mode content, and everything else. Additionally, I know a lot of you guys are going to be mentioning the timeline battle bug. They just released a patch. I was just about to record the game and I opened it up on my phone and the patch was prompted for me to download. They just fixed this. So they've already tackled pretty much the only big bug from this update, which was that when you were searching for an opponent, it was only giving you opponents with like 10, 15 points for a victory when you win. Everyone was around your level, and now they fixed it, and so you will find enemies very quickly after just a few refreshes that will give you the normal amount of points, 60 to 70 points, and they can be much higher than your level, which allows you to sort of punch up and climb the ranks really fast. So I gotta start off right off the bat by saying I think it's really impressive that I'm going to record my video and I go to the March update known issues page. They've already laid out a bunch of known issues. They've already laid out issues that they don't know exactly the cause of, but they're investigating it, and then resolved issues. So right here, this one, boom, they've already resolved it, and this was an issue like a couple hours ago for basically everyone. And then they fixed some issues where Daredevil wasn't counterattacking properly with his third skill. A little bit harder for the players to notice it because the counterattack skill, but they already changed it or improved it or buffed it or whatever. So this is sort of like communication, and I gotta highlight this because it's something that we often criticize the game developers of, the MFF devs, of not doing. So it's really good that they're super on top of this and they're paying attention to this right as the update goes live. So take a look through these, and if you had these issues, and you can sort of see where they're at in terms of the priority and the whether it's been resolved or not. Also, we got to say, I didn't even know this. Hyperion's an Eternal. The ability Eternals is not applied in Hyperion's ability. The ability Eternals will be applied to Hyperion in further patches. This is big. So yeah, if you check Icarus, for example, his leadership, and my cat obviously really wants to check out Icarus here. He gives all Eternals, like Eternal allies, get all attack. And you're like, okay, so who are the Eternals? You go to details, and you can see here he has the E ability for Eternals. Pretty straightforward. So apparently Hyperion is an Eternal, and he's going to be getting that ability as well. So that is really cool, and it was honestly a surprise to me because I had no idea that Hyperion was the last Eternal on Earth, I guess, as per the comics. In addition to that, this doesn't really have to do with the update, but they went into the game files, the data miners and stuff, and they've already found some hints through animations and things like that for another hero coming to the game in the future, Circe, which is another Eternal. So it's really cool that the theory that we're going to be getting one Eternal every update, or roughly every update, one per update, seems like it's probably got some traction now. And it's really cool, although again, it doesn't really have an impact on the game, right? I'm not getting more out of the game by playing Hyperion with the Eternals tag or whatever, but it's just these little details, and it's knowing that we've got this like really epic future coming up for the game in the next 10 months or 8 months. Like then this year is going to be insanely good for Marvel Future Fight, and this update is just the beginning of that, right? If this is good, just the beginning, it's going to get way better from here. So I'm pretty excited. I'm happy to see that they're paying attention to the details and that they're sort of lining up all their ducks in a row, so to speak, for whatever the epic finale, not finale, but the epic conclusion when the Eternals movie comes out. Now, moving away from the Defenders for a second here, or moving away from the Eternals to the Defenders for a second here, I want to give you guys my first impressions of Daredevil's uniform and tier 3, because I already tier 3'd him, as you can see. This is not my review of the character. This is not my final impression or my final verdict on the character. So what I'm about to say is just my initial impression. Okay, don't hold me to this opinion if tomorrow or the next day I change my mind and I'm like, well, after further testing this and this and that, it's just an initial first look. He does have really, he does have a huge change on his skills. I don't want to say that they're like gorgeous animations because I would give that more to Iron Fist, but I think Daredevil might be a little bit underwhelming for some people. I'm not super impressed with him right now. I'm definitely gonna have to do more testing. He definitely has quirks that make him, maybe require a more particular build. I'm not super duper impressed on the first rip. So for those of you that just ran to tier 3 him, if you feel the same way, if you don't feel satisfied with his production, give it more time. I feel like he's one of those characters that we're just going to have to practice with more. And, you know, he's not very, you know, instinctually just, oh, I get how to play him, and it's just boom right away, huge damage, big numbers. I mean, he can maybe do that, but I think some people might have been expecting more, and he doesn't seem to be as straightforward to play as maybe Rogue Tier 3 was, or some other characters that we've gotten more recently. He's got, you know, cool animations, he's got more survivability and a lot more damage now, but I do think there are some quirks. I think maybe the devs could look into, if they wanted to, some targeting issues with his 4, 5, and 6. At least against Proxima, it seems like she jumps away from him a lot and sort of cancels him or gets him stuck in an animation that he can't get out of. I'm not a big fan of that. It's a little finicky, but yeah, so you know, right now I'm a little bit like this about Daredevil, but I'm going to give it more time because I really want to make it work with him. And obviously I'll bring you guys a showcase dedicated to him with an obelisk before we move into CTPs and stuff like that. But however, I haven't heard a lot of stuff, but the stuff that I have heard from him in PvP has been good. So you can take that for what it is. On the flip side, we've got Iron Fist also rocking an obelisk. And I got to say, my first impression of Iron Fist is different than Daredevil. I will say that he is transcended. So I've already transcended Iron Fist. You can see there he's got the purple background. I don't think, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Again, it's my first impression. I didn't even play with Luke Cage, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think any of the defenders are going to be very good at tier 2. Like at level 60 tier 2 or level 70 tier 2 without the transcendence. I do think they're going to need the transcendence. They're going to need that skill, that extra skill, but they're also going to need that extra stat bump. You can see Iron Fist gets a huge stat bump. He goes to almost 50,000 HP, and that's without, you know, he's got 0 HP Uru, whatever. He's got a 1 HP ISO. He's got no HP here, and then he's got no HP on his uniform. So really chunky boy. Really good survivability and very good damage. So you know, the comparison I'm making, or the impression I'm giving you, is based on him being transcended. But I do think that these characters may seem a little bit underwhelming if you just grab their uniform and you just chuck them into world boss, because none of them have very high all defense down, and that's usually the barometer for regular world boss. He doesn't have any all defense down on his awakening skill. So it seems like these characters were designed with world boss legend, squad battle, maybe ABX, PvP in mind, right? They were not built. I don't really think these characters were built with world boss ultimate in mind, because that's where all defense down shines. And I mean, the highest all defense down that Daredevil has is 60%. 60% is okay, but we know 70% is that sweet spot, and that's what, you know, that's what she gets. Well, 60%, whatever. I think it goes up to 70%. I'm not sure. But anyways, you kind of get what I'm saying, right? None of them have 70% all, or 75 or 80% all defense down. So it doesn't seem like World Boss Ultimate is really their gig, which is where you're going to test them if you haven't transcended them. So I am, however, like, regardless of what I just said about them not being transcended or being transcended, he is very, very good. Unlike Daredevil, he has really flashy skills, like really gorgeous animations, and he hits really hard, and he's really easy to play. I'm just going to jump into the skill preview to show you guys really briefly, but he's really easy to play, and it's a really sort of intuitive, visually based rotation. You do the 3, cancel into the 4. As soon as the dragon leaves, you do the 5. Like when you see the dragon tail disappear, you do the 5. And it lines up so perfectly with the dragon coming through. I was sort of talking, so I lost track of it, but you can see the dragon comes through, boom, as he's punching. I need to delay it a little bit more, but like this, and as he's punching, oh, look at that, and it's just such a satisfying combo, right? For him to be like ora muda, and then the dragon just comes through. It's just so sick. It's just so sick. And for those of you wondering for a skill rotation, that's the skill rotation: 3, 4, delayed, cancel, 5. If you want to use the transcendent skill, it's basically the same. You do 4, and then you do 6, cancel that immediately into 5. You'll get the damage from Jessica Jones and Luke Cage attacking, and you'll get all the buffs of the Immortal Chi Strike, but you just want to slam all that damage down on 5. But yeah, unlike Daredevil, I think Iron Fist is really going to shine in this update, because he is like super tanky. So he's easy to play, right? He's not going to punish you if you're not really good at playing. Super high damage. He's got the accumulation rocking all the time. Every rotation you can pop this accumulation, and then he's got a super duper proc friendly rotation. So if you don't have a CTP of Rage, that's okay. If you have a CTP of Energy, you're totally fine. If you just rock with an Obelisk, he can do it. He cleared stage 4 null for me with this Obelisk, whereas Daredevil struggled with a better Obelisk with a 180 proc instead of a 120 proc. So you can take that for what it is. He smashed it. He did not. So that's where I'm sort of comparing. It's tough to compare them. I don't necessarily want to pit them against each other because maybe they're better for different things. But right now I'm a little bit so-so on Daredevil, and that's kind of exacerbated when I look at Iron Fist and see like how mint he is. Daredevil just seems like a puzzle that I'm gonna need more time to work on. And then we got Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. I don't mean to sort of ignore them, but they're sort of left afterwards because they don't seem quite as brightly shining as the other two there. Jessica, I got lucky with her potential, so I can actually awaken her, but I'm very low on awakening crystals, but she seems okay. She may end up being, for me as a PvE player, more of a support-only type character. Honestly, though, I didn't really feel her support doing that much for me when I used her with Daredevil or Iron Fist in regular World Boss. So she may not actually end up being a better PvE support than like Valkyrie or Taskmaster or whoever. I'm gonna give it more time. Again, I haven't really tested her out much, but from what I saw, yeah, long animations. I wasn't really too impressed by her damage. But again, I don't really think that they're made for regular World Boss Ultimate, right? Minus 55 all defense down is just not high enough, and she has buffs, but she doesn't have any accumulation. So it really begs the question of where you're going to use this character, and if it's not World Boss Ultimate, then it's going to have to be other game modes. So yeah, I'm not saying these characters are bad by any means, but I just think that testing them out in World Boss is probably not going to illustrate their value enough to really get things going. Like, he's like minus 35, right? So he's obviously going to need someone else to apply the all defense down for him if he's going to crush it in World Boss Ultimate, which means you're probably going to have to transcend him and use him in World Boss Legend or in other content to really flesh out his value. But yeah, so I wouldn't jump to purchase her uniform or Luke Cage's uniform just yet unless you want the full Defender synergy. I'm leaning towards just recommending Iron Fist and maybe Daredevil for must buys. Jessica and Luke are really going to depend on where you are as a roster and how much you want to take advantage of the Defender synergy. If you're going to go all in on the Defenders, then obviously Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are amazing bonus characters and complementers for these two. You've got the ignore dodge and the leadership for Luke. For her, you've got all these crazy buffs that she gives Daredevil and Iron Fist. And more than Iron Fist, I think Daredevil needs it. So I will say that about Jessica. It seems like she synergizes a lot more with Daredevil than Iron Fist. He needs the damage reduction. He needs the heal, right? She gives that heal. He kind of needs it. Matt Murdock kind of needs it. It's kind of difficult for him to stay alive sometimes. His survivability is kind of lacking. But overall, I'm really happy with all 4 of these characters, despite not really testing Jessica Jones and Luke Cage too much. I do think that they were all designed really well. I think, the pattern and the choices being made are really logical, and it feels like they work. They feel like a cohesive unit. It's too bad that there's no 4 character team modes. We can only bring 3 characters into any game mode. Because if they had a 4 character PvP or something like that, I feel like the Defenders would absolutely kick ass, which would be dope to see. Finally, Icarus. I'm going to have a dedicated video for him up very, very soon. I just unlocked him because I wanted to, and I don't want to wait for the future pass, but I haven't tested him out. I've heard a couple of good things from him or about him from people just offhandedly in PvP and stuff like that, but, really the only thing I have to say is his 4th skill has V-Pad. So that's really all that matters. I can move around while shooting you with my gigantic laser eyes, and it's also iframe ignore. So this skill is never going to get canceled, which is dope. So yeah, that's how I feel about the new characters and the new uniforms. Probably a little bit biased as far as how good everything is, but I'm happy. Last but not least, I already unlocked Mephisto. I'm gonna have content for you guys coming up very, very soon on the gameplay here, but the fight is really, really fun. He dies and comes back to life. Kind of spoiler there. It's really cool. And it's fun and it's different. It doesn't feel like playing Null at all. So if you've gotten tired of Null, for example, this is a completely different ballpark. Obviously, most people are going to be spending the 9 days to slowly unlock Mephisto, and there's no rush to unlock Mephisto because we know the rewards are exactly the same as Null. Exactly the same. One tip I will give you, or one piece of advice I will give you, which I kind of feel bad about because I did make a video like 2 months ago or a month and a half ago with different, with a different idea or different information. But now knowing that we're going to be getting more World Boss Legends, right? Because they're probably not going to stop at just Null and Mephisto. They're probably going to make 1 or 2 more by the end of the year. It's probably not a good idea to use crystals to skip the last 1 or 2 bosses as we thought before, skipping Apocalypse or skipping Scarlet Witch and Apocalypse to get to Null faster. I mean, it may still make sense for some players, but now that we know you're basically going to have to just skip it again for Mephisto, right? You're going to have to pay those whatever 700 or 1700 crystals again. It kind of doesn't make sense. Right now, there's a 50% discount off on skipping world bosses. Again, I don't recommend it. I'm just letting you guys know that, now that I have this more information that we're going to get more world boss legends and we're going to get them this quickly, it probably doesn't make sense anymore to skip them. As expensive as these 2 characters are, you don't want to throw away crystals and then have to basically do it again a few months later, right? Which is basically what's going to happen for players that skipped the crystals for Null and now we'll have to skip the crystals for Mephisto. You could also argue that you just don't have to play Mephisto and you can just watch videos of people playing him because, again, the rewards are exactly the same, but it's a fun fight. It's really cool. I can't wait to show you guys. I don't want to show you guys right now because I don't want to rush it and I want to take my time and whatever, but believe me, it's absolutely dope. And I cannot wait to get him as a playable character. I'm probably going to get this question a lot. We cannot unlock Mephisto yet. You don't get bios of his. Like, there's no bios here. Obviously, I assume he will be playable in the future, just like Null was. But remember, Null was released in November. And then November, December, January, the end of January, he came out as a playable character. So it took about 2.5 months, almost 3 months, for him to be made playable. So I think the earliest we could expect Mephisto as a playable character to unlock is like next month for the anniversary, just because it's the anniversary and it's like a big event or whatever. But more likely than not, I would expect him to come out around Shang-Chi, like in June or July, where it makes more sense in terms of the timeline that they've established with Null, from boss to playable. So yeah, those are my impressions of the update. Jump on in. It's pretty dope. The Defenders got massive reworks and we got Eternals building up and we got Mephisto. So there's a lot to enjoy. There's a lot to work on resource wise. And I'll have a lot more content coming up for you guys about all these characters and all these dope new looks. So yeah, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.